Hello, and welcome to ContainerCraft's 100 Days of Homelab series. This is actually episode 1, not to be confused with Phantom Menace. Instead of Jedi and Sith, today we will be installing and updating CentOS Extreme. CentOS will be the foundation of your Homelab's Kubernetes-based hypervisor, underpinning all future projects in this series. So now we are going to go ahead and boot up into the installer, accepting the English language, presumably. To start off, we're going to go ahead and get our network set up. We're going to name this node. This is going to be the host name discovered on your network. And we're going to add a numerical identifier on that name as we can expand this cluster to more than one node. Turn on your interface. Next, we're going to take a look at our install destination. Now, this is the hard drives that we are installing to. In some cases, you may have more than one hard disk. In ours, we are provisioned with a small SSD and a larger SSD that is predominantly going to be used for our hypervisor workloads. We are going to keep our core workload separate from our OS by installing the OS exclusively to our smaller SSD. I'm going to go ahead and choose custom because we do not want the installer to provision any separate partitions for home directories, as this is a server. Can go ahead and kick off with home by default, but the defaults that it populates with. As you can see, there is a separate home partition. We're going to remove that. So we've removed the default home and root partitions. We're going to re-add the root partition. That mount point is going to be the /, which indicates root. We're not going to fill out desired capacity as we want it to just consume all remaining space on the device. There you can see it consumed the remaining space on the device. That is our root partition. Our home partition is gone. And now we can go ahead and click Done to indicate we have configured storage as desired. I'm actually going to go ahead and switch this over to ext4 before we continue. And now we're clicking Done. Accept changes. And move on to software selection. So by default, this is set to install a full GUI interface. Now this is normally on a computer where you have a monitor connected and you interface directly with the computer via keyboard and mouse. This is your interface that you see on your screen. We do not want that. We're going to go with a minimal install and some standard utilities of the installer. Click Done. We're going to choose our time zone next. We are not going to provision a root password on this system. We will instead be creating an administrator. And for the purpose of the demo, my user is going to be CentOS. And in typical demo fashion, the password is going to be extremely insecure. It will be the same as the username. I would say do not try this at home, but probably that is the only place that could be considered a reasonable place to try it. All right, with the installer kicked off, this is going to finish the install portion for us. All right, our install completed. We're going to go ahead and reboot the system. And now we're booting into our newly installed kernel. And from here we can log in with the username and password we set up during the install. First things first, we will check and see if we have network. Sure enough, on the default interface we have a .176. Go ahead and update the system while we're here. For anyone unfamiliar, sudo before the DNF update Y, that is what elevates our privileges to be able to act on privileged system resources. In this scenario, we're using it to update packages. DNF is the package manager itself. That is what manages system updates and package installation in most cases. And then of course the update is what tells it to run the update here, and the -Y is just accepting all prompts that it might normally ask for user interaction for. And there we are. We can reboot to pick up any new kernels and make sure all packages are applied.